And tonight will be the night that I will fall for you. Jimmy Butler voice.
Y'all didn't hear it from me, but I heard it through somebody. Y'all look at it pretend.
Console Crusade podcast. We're back.
Are we ever really gone?
Oh, I wish y'all could hear the last 14 minutes of this. That's horrifying. EJ Olson with my good man, the foot man, Nick Durheim.
Not gonna be going on that path.
Chris Gilly, 4 with a mouthful of chips. Give it to me.
I'm just saying, like, sliding right in between the toes. Like, what? That doesn't get you going.
Webbed appendages.
Stop. I can't be getting.
That's why he likes Spider-Man.
Brennan Allen back again.
You guys are such bad influences. It's just EJ. Just EJ.
Okay, I'm the most normal among us.
Yeah, sure.
Report.
Bren, you're back with us 2 weeks in a row. You're a regular now.
Better get a new logo made.
Oh, fuck. Here we go again. Our new logo is fine. I wish Cody, shout out Cody if you're listening to this. We love your art and we wish we could have just paid you to do another one with Chris because it's just so dang good and I miss it. But we're 16-bit now. It's all good. So this week we got 2 things. One is another league update. It's our quarterly. I know we've been doing little mini updates, but we got Bren back to talk about what's been happening, his race for 3rd. Race to the bottom, I guess you could say. Nick coming in with some heavy hitters, laying the fear of God into me. It was always there. I told you guys. And then we're going to do, again, for the 2nd week in a row, critical hits, because we had such a good time with it last week that we said, let's develop this further. Chris is going to host this week. Nick will participate. The king himself has descended the mountain to bandy about with the plebes in the dirt. So we will see how that goes. I spent all night on Metacritic studying, so we'll see how cruel Chris will be.
I think I wrote great categories, and I think I've added some great wrinkles, some of which y'all are not aware of, even though I proofed a lot of the things by you, EJ and Nick. And there's only one category that I ran it by a couple people outside of these circles, and one of them was like, "Oh yeah, absolutely, totally." And Tiffany was like, "This is going to cause a major fight, but we'll see."
I'm sure that's exactly what the 2 of you want. Making us monkeys dance for your entertainment.
2 of you? 2 of who?
You and Tiffany, partners in crime over there.
Oh, well, yeah, obviously. I thought you were suggesting Nick and I colluded on this.
No, I know Nick's a man of integrity.
Wow, just Nick, huh?
Lest we open the can of worms, going back to our Kratos versus Revan dog fight here.
There's no fight.
I bet you there's a YouTube video describing whether Kratos or Revan would win in a fight.
Like death battles?
Yeah, made in like 2009. Poorly animated and even worse written.
Narrated by some asshole who... Never mind, I'm not going to say what I'm about to say.
Sent like dick pics to like children.
Dude, you literally took it out of my mouth, dude.
Anyway.
We were arguing about whether we want to start with critical hits or league update. Chris just put another chip in his mouth, so I'm going to opt for league update. And it's going to be less about the league and what's happened in the league because most of what's been talked about, but it is going to give us opportunities to talk about some things we've been playing. Brennan, specifically, who plays all the new releases. So we're going to start with Mr. Allen. A lot has happened for you.
Mostly some good.
I'd say mostly good. I mean, freaking Phantom Liberty giving you a hot 19 points right there.
Yeah.
You broke the 90 mark for a fleeting 24 hours, and then it dropped to 89. But you cracked 120, which I think last league update was just your goal. I just want to break 120. Well, now you're here with Spider-Man on the board still, Alan Wake on the board still.
Assassin's Creed next week or this week.
We get reviews, I think, in a day and a
tomorrow.
half. I think the 4th.
Oh, Tuesday or Wednesday. Makes sense.
You're not catching Chris at this point, but a solid showing.
It won't happen, but it could.
It's not outside the realm of possibility. You'd have to uncork like 3 90s on these titles, which like If Assassin's Creed Mirage cracks 90 on OpenCritic, I will become an Assassin's Creed guy again and go buy that game.
That'd be a miracle.
That would be the shock of the year, honestly.
You would have to basically get 90 at least on all your remaining games, Brent, and Chris would have to take baths on both of his remaining games. And
Well,
maybe,
I was going to say he could catch up to Chris before November because that's before Chris would have his last 2 releases.
You know what? If I can be in not last for a day, I'm fine with that.
Hey, you were there with Dead Space early in the year, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's
Did
true.
you have any
That's
other
true.
stinkers early on? I don't remember.
you're at 124 points. You are fractions of a point behind where Chris and I both ended last year. So,
That's not bad.
like we keep saying, you're a little behind the curve because you haven't been doing this for 3 years. But you were ahead of where Chris was in the first year and ahead of where we both were last year. So, pretty good spot to be. You can't help that we're sick in the head about it now.
Yeah.
You'll get there next year.
I'm going full spreadsheet next year.
I straight up do not understand how you guys did so badly last year. It is really appalling. Comparing like EJ, like I just briefly looked, and in 2021 you beat me, and fairly so because I made some bad decisions. But you had 180 points by the end of the year, and the year after that you had 125. Like you really struggled last year.
It was because part of it was losing damn near 20 points on Return to Monkey Island.
Oh yeah,
Part of it was losing 13 points on Sports Story the day before the league ended. And then I had like 5 titles not get scored or come out. So it was just literally a numbers game of just like, if I had those releases, I have 60 more fucking points probably. And then I lose another 30 points between one bad decision. They weren't even bad decisions at the time. I don't have to rehash this. They weren't bad decisions. They just didn't work out. It happens. It happens.
Yeah.
So, whereas Chris, I don't know. Chris had all his games come out. They're just bad. But it's a different year. It's a different year. We've all learned a little bit. We've all grown a little bit.
An historic year for gaming, honest to God, with the quality and quantity of incredible releases.
It's kind of overwhelming.
Yeah, next year you're gonna have more games next year.
We totally can. I was just saying, I'm just getting around to Final Fantasy 16, and that's like 3 months after release, almost at this point. I'm just
Was that
finally.
also like why you bought the PS5?
And then promptly left it in Kentucky.
EJ, you gonna fly on a commercial airline with a brand new PlayStation 5?
I've flown on a commercial airline with like $10,000 of camera gear in my carry-on in an overhead compartment.
That's
happens.
pretty fucking stupid. I don't know what to tell you about that. Like, not even any protective gear, not any like foam casing or anything. You just like threw it in a duffel and we're like, YOLO.
Well, I had a hard case. And then when I used to travel for actual videographer work, we would just carry Pelicans on with us and never check your expensive gear. But yeah, I would have no problem carrying a PlayStation onto a plane. No big deal.
No, that's wild. Plus, like, when was I going to play it? Like, in between my 260 hours of Tears of the Kingdom and having a life. Like, I don't.
Yeah, you're 40 hours a week of Zelda. I know, you were busy. You were quite busy. I get it.
It all makes sense.
Bren, did you do Final Fantasy 16?
No, I didn't. I played the demo, and I wasn't in the mood for watching cinematics. Ton of cinematics, so it was the gameplay. Like, I mean, it's an action game, but didn't draw me in that way.
Man, once again, I have nobody on this fucking podcast to talk to about Final Fantasy.
I think Brandon said he would like to come on and talk about it with you.
That'd be great. Yeah, when I beat it, I'd love to get Brandon on and we can just absolutely go nuts talking about this game. 'Cause I'm having a great fucking time with this game so far. And I have some bones to pick with people who objected to this game on grounds of like, oh, it's not really a Final Fantasy game. But I don't want to have that conversation now. I just want you to know it is a conversation that will be had.
None of the Final Fantasy games share enough DNA to make them feel like Final Fantasy games. They're just fucking generic JRPGs. Brennan, you have been playing one of your games that came out, Lies of P.
I sure
The
have.
game that some people on this podcast thought was not going to be good. I do believe Chris drafted that in the Whammy League. But it came out a solid 82.
Yeah, I was gonna say 82. It's like middling. Like it's fine. It's in the level of being
82
fine.
is not middling. Nick made a face, dude. I love that face.
I mean, Cope Harder, it was your fault for picking it in the Whammy League, which I swiftly countered because that was an absurd response to thinking that was going to be bad. But then you also countered Crime Boss. So what do you know about good or bad?
82 doesn't get my dick hard. 82 is very average.
Okay, let me look up Final Fantasy 16.
If all of your games had 82s, Chris, oh, you'd be in a much better place right now. Oh, that's so good. Brendan, how you liking Liza P?
I'm loving it, honestly. It's I was nervous for when it came out because historically Souls-like games not made by From Software are pretty bad. They don't play well. They just don't have the factor that FromSoft brings to the games. And for all really, so kind of how I describe it is if you took your glasses off and you were playing this game, you would not know that From Software didn't make this game.
Yeah, I've heard people say that if the game was the exact same, but it had a splash screen that said From Software at the beginning, that it would be 6 points higher on Open and Metacritic.
It probably would be, yeah. And for better or worse, like they definitely, even from the animations, Nick, where you are using an item, but you can't use the item and they like reach around and like kind of look the exact same animation in this game.
That's so funny, man. The UI even looks exactly like Bloodborne, which is hilarious because it's not like people play Bloodborne for the UI.
Right. But no, I love it. I think it's not as good as Elden Ring or like the original Dark Souls or Bloodborne, but I would say I put it absolutely over Demon Souls and Dark Souls 2. Yeah, kind of like right around in there. It's definitely A tier Souls-like.
That's awesome. Yeah, I really want to like hop in and give this game a chance. I just haven't had the opportunity to. It's on Game Pass, so I figure I could probably like sub for a month on PC and pop it out pretty quick because these games are never like super long unless you keep doing new game pluses, which I don't even think this game has, does it?
I'm not sure. I haven't beat it yet. I will say it is really hard, and the fact that you can't like there is no multiplayer does make it harder.
For sure.
No one rating your fucking games, dude. That sounds amazing.
No co-op. So the co-op against the bosses is definitely a godsend sometimes. Like you can summon these like spectral spirits or whatever and kind of help you out, but it's definitely not like the
no one's going to solo her for you.
Exactly.
Whoa. Throwing shade.
That was from
here.
Elden Ring. Let me solo her. That was it was a hot gaming phenomenon that everyone knew about. EJ, where were you last
Even
year?
I know that, man. Come on now.
The guy had like 5,000 Melania kills or something. It was crazy.
He was a champion.
A fucking
Bless
legend.
him. I think FromSoft like gave him a sword or something.
Crazy.
Have you played Cosmic Wheel Sisterhood, Bren? That got you 86 points, or 16 points. That seems it was really up your alley.
I have not played it, but I will say it's kind of crazy that both games that I spent $1 on are some of my highest rated games.
Meanwhile, Mineko's Night Market you spent $10 on and almost the last of your cash. And up until the final like 6 days before this game came out, you're like, I could drop this and replace it with X, Y, and Z. Should I do it? And you whiffled and you waffled.
Listen, I stuck to my guns. I said it's either I do or I don't. If I did drop it, it probably would have gotten good scores. So in the other universe, but
yeah,
I stuck to my guns.
You were going to replace it with a game that you actually watched the trailer for and thought this looks good. Mineko, there's no part of you that thought this looks good. You just thought, well, this looks weird and people like weird indie games, so maybe it'll be good. Trust your stomach, brother.
No, panic mode sucks.
Brent saw Mineko, and what was the other game you were looking at?
Wizard with a Gun.
Oh, man. That did like a low 80s, right? Like it would have definitely been a better choice, but
I don't think it's out yet.
It's not out yet.
What was the other indie that came out that we were giving you shit for not taking?
Well, Gunbrella came out. That's another Devolver.
Yeah.
Oh,
it got a 79.
Oh, it dropped.
Yeah.
Okay.
Rounded up, it's an 80. So I mean, it's still like a decent score, but it depends on your measure of success.
Oh, 80 is just decent now, but 82 is not.
I said decent, not middling.
Yeah,
I think my phrasing is very different.
Those words are incredibly analogous as far as I'm concerned.
Well,
no, I did start playing Gunbrella. It's okay. It's a platformer. It's kind of cute.
It seemed like the movement looked really fun and responsive, and that's what I liked a lot about Gato Roboto, which was their previous game, is that it really felt nice to run and jump around, which it's surprising. A lot of indie platformers don't feel good to play, and you're like, well, how did this come out? How did you decide that this was okay to ship? But Gumbrella, and it just looked really fun to play. So.
Yeah, I think it needed to draw me in more. It needed to be more of a Metroidvania, which it absolutely is not.
Yeah, their last game was, so I kind of got the vibe that this was going to be as well. So that's kind of surprising to hear, actually.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a good couple of months for you, Bren. You're like 70 or 80 points further along than you were last time we had you on for an update. And like we said, you're still waiting on Spider-Man and Assassin's Creed and
Alan Wake.
Much to my chagrin, Alan Wake is coming out this year. So it's going to be a really solid year for you, whether you end up in third or fourth. You know, it's still a solid year. What did we get the year we won, Nick? Could he possibly surpass us? 180 was the high score in year one.
Yep.
So it's not likely that you surpassed that, but you done good. You done good, Bren.
Thanks.
A couple of things you'll clean up next year. Is next year the year that we finally commit to our bit of playing every game that we pick up in this league?
Nope.
That sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah.
That sounds like an expensive way to spend my time.
Oh, man. Nick,
EJ?
some interesting things have happened.
Certainly, yeah. I mean, a lot of interesting things keep happening. So last time we talked, you said it was right after Red Dead dropped, right? So had Bomb Rush even gotten reviews at that point? Armored Core was still on the horizon, I believe. So I'm just looking at what of my games have come out. I mean, I had Gumbrella, but then I dropped it, and that ended up getting an 80, which is below my threshold for what I need to make a comeback and be a contender against you, EJ. So I'm like happy about that. It feels like a bullet was dodged in some ways. Similarly with I'm thinking about like what you threw bids at in your haphazard sort of shotgun approach to try and get your pickup, and you ended up getting the pick that you wanted, but I'm keeping track of the ones that you didn't get. So like Ninja Turtles, that DLC reviewed super hot for like a minute, but then it fell off, and now it's at a more normal score. It's at like an 82 right now. And Lamplighters League just came out.
Low
and that is sitting at like a 74, and it's like, man, you really you want to think, yeah, I've got a pretty good feel for what this is going to be. You know, Jigster Damas never, except for when he does very wildly. It's very hit or miss, and it will continue to be. And it's just interesting to try and like game it and like look at what's going to come out and what's going to score you big points. But like, yeah, I think Shadow Gambit had come out by the time we recorded last time. So really my big releases have been Mortal Kombat and
boy,
Cocoon, and I guess Counter-Strike 2, but that doesn't have reviews yet.
it literally shadow dropped. You better hope it don't get reviews, bro, because the fervor around this game is, I mean, it is getting more and more negative reactions everywhere I look.
No, that's weird. All the reactions I'm seeing are like, yeah, it's the exact same game as Global Offensive, but like better UI, and like the smoke system is like really cool, actually. So if it gets reviews, it's not going to get reviews from like the sweaty tryhards that are playing the game every day. It's going to get reviews from outlets, and they're going to be like, wow, I remember playing Counter-Strike Global Offensive when it first came onto PS3 17 years ago or whatever. So they're going to be like, it's just like that, but better. And the UI is, improved, and it's going to get good scores if it gets scores. But that's my worry, is that it came out, it was like a random day. It's just like Valve said, okay, yeah, we hit the button. It's live. Go get it, I guess.
On Metacritic, it has creeped up to an 80. The first couple reviews were, I think there was a 70 and a 75 the first day I looked, but that's been balanced out.
Which makes sense.
Now
That would be like the really crazy people that have been playing the game since it started, like the beta period for the past 3 months or whatever it was. So I'm just waiting to see if it actually gets reviews from outlets that are more casual, because that's what I'm relying on. Is that it's so big on Twitch. People are going to be chasing after, coverage, because it's the most played game on Steam like at any given moment. It's like that in Dota. So clearly there's an audience for it, but it's just one of those games, man. It's like the free built-in Valve game. May as well come pre-installed with the software.
Let's open this fucking Mortal Kombat can of worms here and talk about what happened a few weeks ago.
It's so fucking funny. Dude.
Collusion.
Truly at the highest levels. Okay, Nick, you drafted Mortal Kombat. We all expect this is going to be a good game. initially drops to like an 88 or 89, right? The first couple of days. And we're like, well, another banger for Nick. So the first couple of days, it has reviewed really well, but it's only like got like 20 reviews, right? And then the Switch reviews start coming in and they're like 3 out of 10, 3.5 out of 10, 4 out of 10. And we're like, oh my God, we might get saved by the fucking Nintendo Bell over here. Bad ports of a game that should not exist on that shitty cell phone hardware. Well, then one day, the score shoots back up again. And I was like, that's weird. I smell something fishy. And I put this in the group chat. So I tweet at OpenCritic and I say, all the low scores for MK1 are suddenly missing from the OpenCritic review charts. Something fishy afoot. And OpenCritic responds, we've moved Switch reviews to their own page given the disparate experiences between the platforms. And I just said, that's a true disaster for FantasyCritic players. I guess it depends on which side of the coin you're on. And the guy responds, they were the ones asking for the change. Cry, laugh emoji. So I got some fucking feelings about this. The game has dropped to an 85, even without the Switch reviews. But first, Bren says, in response to that, they need to live with the consequences. Some of us are fighting for third place here. Great bit. And I just said, these are a bunch of babies who drafted it and aren't wanting to take their medicine now. The lack of standardization presents some uncertainty. Will OpenCritic always separate releases by platform now? And then I tweeted at FantasyCritic, I said, will you be combining just these two scores, or do we have to worry about this for every pick/counter pick from now on? Anything that we ever bid on, do we have to worry that OpenCritic will randomly decide to split these up based on a couple of people tweeting at them angrily, and that because we see all sorts of games where this happens, like Red Dead probably would have been an 82 or an 83 if it were just the Switch reviews. So I was hot about this. And of course, Nick, I knew that you would agree to calculating this manually at the end of the year, but I was like, you can't get away with this. This is absolute bullshit.
It's not going to add up to mattering all that much. The two that are on the Switch edition page, there's only 2 top critic reviews. So out of that versus the 76 that are on the regular page, it's not going to be changing much.
I did the math like a week ago when we talked about it, and you'll lose like a point as it stands right now, but we'll see if any more come in. We'll see if they patch the game. I don't know. And there are outlets who are waiting to review it on the Switch. I doubt it. You don't review a game this far outside of the review window because your clicks suffer, I guess. So I don't know. Just a weird thing. But like, Chris, let me ask you, is this something you're going to worry about going into 2024 when we're drafting or counterpicking things? Like, is this now a factor? I guess we're going to standardize how we do this. It's like if they do decide to split, we're always just going to combine the points manually. But like, what the hell?
I mean, I think it's a bad precedent to set on the platform personally, to just kind of arbitrarily decide like, oh, we have these literally two reviews for this game that came out day and date with all the other platforms. It doesn't make sense to me to separate it. Because you're not going to do that for anything else just because like one console has a particularly disparate experience. Like you're going to split that out entirely to its own review page. Like they've never done that before, to our knowledge, for stuff that releases day and date. Stuff that comes out later, obviously like the Red Dead Redemption port is going to get reviewed on its own as a port for those particular consoles. It's not going to aggregate that into the existing Red Dead Redemption reviews on Xbox One or whatever the fuck it came out on. I don't remember. So I just think it's a bad precedent, but I'm not particularly concerned about this happening a lot because I think it's rare that these AAA games even come to Switch day and date to begin with. So no, I'm not worried about it. I do, however, think it's a bad precedent to set. I'm glad that we have the sense to go, this is a little weird and uncomfortable, and we're going to try and do right by everyone. But also, it's still not going to save you from a Nick charge in the last couple of months, picking up only whatever games he wants.
I was like, fine, you can keep it like this with the split score, but we can drop a free counter pick. Cough, cough, trying to weasel out of Alan Wake.
That was dumb to begin with, and you made your fucking bed, EJ, when you dropped that game that wasn't going to release, when you dropped replaced it with Endless Dungeon, which is not going to be a home run ball, and left Alan Wake on the board. That was your choice. You made that choice. You get to live with that choice. It was the wrong choice. and it's going to be clear it was the wrong choice in less than a week, I think. And I look forward to that day and the recording afterwards for us to tell you again how wrong of a choice it was, especially with Endless Dungeon coming out like the same day. And that game is not going to be great. Like, you'll be lucky to get an 85 on Endless Dungeon.
That would be amazing. If I got an 85 on that, that'd be fucking great.
81 is the ceiling. I think 79 is more likely. I'm willing to go on record with this, knowing who holds the power of the pen when the episode gets edited. I'm still willing to go on record as saying 81, 82 is probably the ceiling. I think it's a 79.
I know we hashed this out on a prior podcast. It was like weighing my options when I was looking at the counter situation. And of course, not thinking Alan Wake was even going to come out this year. And then it was like, well, I've got options.
You could have countered Mineko. Now you do not have counter options.
This was also before you like rattle off like 50 points back to back to back, and then Cocoon, just this random fucking no-name bullshit pickup, just dropping an 88 out of nowhere.
From the lead gameplay designer of Inside and Limbo? Yeah, totally random.
Yeah, and also carried by Annapurna, which has a high standard of excellence.
I mean, did you play 12 minutes?
Bro, the developer has released literally 2 no-name games. And the last one was like 8 years ago or something.
The developer has, but this particular designer coming to this publishing company.
Oh, that didn't affect you when you were counterpicking Replaced and fucking that Ghibli game that lost you a bunch of points, Chris, because new developer, doesn't even matter who the publisher is, new developer.
And Fuga 2 looked bad. We are all idiots in this circus.
I'm saying there's no way you can't ever know. Sure, Nick clearly did his research more than we did with regards to this game, because I was like, oh, okay, don't know what the fuck that is. Yeah, if I'd have known, I mean, assuming I had money, which I don't, which, that strategy failed. But if I were in a position and I'm like, oh, Limbo and Inside, those games fuck. I played both of them. They're excellent. Like, that's a game I would throw some money at. I don't know if it's going to be an 88 or whatever it is, but those games fuck. I would play another game by those designers.
I didn't look at this game prior because I didn't have any money. It just literally came out of nowhere. 5 days ago, Nick picks up this game, and it's dropping an 88 out of nowhere. So, unlucky for us.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat, I mean, it's still a good score. I mean, even if it does end up just having those 2 Switch scores, it'll end up being like an 84, which is a good score. I don't know if it's enough for me to like maintain my momentum to try and come back, because I'm still looking down the barrel of like, 4 unreleased games at the end of the year. Like, my average is going to be way better than yours, EJ, but all things being equal, I still need to have releases. So I think you're probably overinflating some of the games that you have coming out later this year, but I also worry about even getting my releases.
I fully expect the rest of my games, like, this is finally the fourth to fall off, right? Mario RPG is going to probably end up in an 84 range. Like, Endless Dungeon, whatever.
Whoa, in
like,
what
I
fucking
fully believe
world? In what fucking world is one of the best 16-bit RPGs of all time being remastered gloriously for the Nintendo Switch not going to get you a high 80? If that game is an 84, I'm going to go on an all-time fucking meltdown on this podcast. That would be lunacy. Absolute fucking lunacy. Forza, yeah, maybe, but that's still a possible 90. Mario RPG, very probable 90.
This is from the company that gave you Chrono Trigger on mobile phone that is sitting at a 70 on Metacritic.
That was years ago when it was a mobile phone. It was a mobile phone port, whatever you want to call it. This looks
I'm just
nothing
saying,
like
Square
that.
Enix has very shaky history in this aspect.
There's no way that game doesn't hit for you.
I'm worried.
You're in a
I'm
good
scared.
position. You're worried because you got a bad brain, and that's okay. And that's okay, EJ, but I'm telling you it's okay. It's going to be fine.
I think EJ ends this league at 230.
At 2-0 because of Alan Wake. Yeah, Alan Wake might fuck you, mate. Like, that's the one thing that is going to really, because that's minus 10 at least. If it's as good as they hope it is, the publishers hope it is, man, could be a fat L. And not just like a lowercase L. Could be a big old fatty capital L.
I'm hoping for another war to break out so it gets a last minute delay. Like, I need something here.
What, in Finland or whatever?
The
they're
game's
based out of?
The game's done. It comes
so
out in 3 weeks.
So was fucking The one game.
Stalker is not done.
No,
it was
no,
never
no, no,
done.
no, no, no. Advance Wars.
Oh yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah. I don't think any company's as weird as Nintendo about re-releasing a Game Boy Advance game that they initially released the day after 9/11. So they've got great timing.
A storied history for that franchise.
Wow, really? Wow, that's crazy. Like twice? Once is like, oh, that's bad luck. Twice? What monkey's paw did they touch?
That's probably why they did it. They're like, we can't do this again.
We can't keep making these guys.
Nick, I am fully preparing to lose to you, and probably in some devastating fashion, like it'll be by a point or whatever, or God forbid, the half point that I lost on Storyteller. That would be a
Hilarious.
true tragedy.
I would love that more than anything.
I want it so bad.
Yeah, and then Chris, I guess you've got 2 more games coming out this year.
Correctamundo. I still have Persona 5 Tactica, which will probably be a comfortable 83 to 85, and Like a Dragon, Gaiden, the Man Who Erased His Name, which will also presumably be between an 81 and an 83. Like every fucking not Yakuza game is dependably around 10 points. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Kerbal's almost certainly not coming out. Shadow of the Erd Tree, the Elden Ring DLC, is probably coming out in January, which will be hilarious in its symmetry to last year. EJ with your Elden Ring cuckolding, shall we say, having that pushed and losing those big points. Yeah, feels bad, man. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I just had a lot of stuff that was not great. I'm looking back at it and like it's not bad. Like, Disney Illusion Island, was what y'all thought it was, which was sad. I think I'll probably really enjoy that game when I get around to playing it, but it's thin. It's just a thin experience. Bomb Rush is up to a 78 now, which is a little bit more respectable, but still disappointing. I just still look at that System Shock remake, laying a fat turd of a 76 that we all were like, this is a great pickup. This should score really well. This should be an excellent acquisition. And it just fucking
one of those
wasn't.
really beloved RPGs from the 90s that might not score that high in reality. It's just unprecedented.
Outdated
Shut the
systems,
fuck up.
Not truly recrafted for a modern era.
You love Mario RPG enough to defend it, even though it's on EJ's team, and you would benefit more from it doing poorly.
I benefit
No,
nothing.
no,
I am
Chris-
locked
Chris
into
can't
third
catch
place. I am locked into third place. It is over.
Sorry,
There is
Bren.
well, yeah, I meant that more for my own sake of not being able to win League. Yeah, it's just Mario RPG is going to be great. And it deserves to be great. And we deserve for it to be great because we're all going to play it, EJ. And I think that if you're buoyed by a 20 plus point windfall on this game, you're going to be more amenable to playing through a turn-based RPG that you otherwise would not, even though the boys back home are very eager for you to play it and talk about it with us because it is excellent.
CC Top 100.
Yeah, I'll be playing this game as a Paper Mario fan and a big South Park RPG fan. I just like those turn-based with action elements. That's the kind of turn-based RPG I like. So I plan on playing it.
Good, you should.
Nick,
It is the second best Mario RPG, only behind Thousand Year Door, which is legendary. It is incredible.
Nick, you hit me up yesterday about Best Buy's Switch sale, which was buy 2, get 1 free. If you were a Best Buy Total member, which is like $200 a year.
Plus also.
Right, which is like $50 a year, maybe?
50. Yeah.
So you hit me up about it. I'm not a Best Buy member of anything anymore, but I call my dad and he is. So I got his login info, added my credit card and everything, and ordered you a couple of games. And I went back to go do one for me because, I was like, oh yeah, I plan on playing both Wonder and RPG when it comes out. I'll be spending a full $60 on those, so I might as well just try and get a third game free, or $40 each, however you look at it. And it just really wasn't anything I wanted to commit to in that third slot. So I was like, I'll open this back up tonight and make a decision. I was like, maybe I'll ask my brother if he's going to be getting Wonder day one, then I'll just order 2 copies of Wonder or whatever. I was like, I'll think about this later. Like I was getting onto Discord to play some games, so I backburnered it. Well, you tagged me at like 10 o'clock that night, Nick, a Wario 64 post about how that entire deal had been completely taken away after less than 24 hours on Best Buy's website.
Yeah, which is so funny because like literally their phrasing of the deal was they called it an everyday deal, which makes it sound like, oh yeah, this is going to stick around for a little bit. So, and even then, like even when I was talking to you, EJ, I was like, oh, maybe, you know, I don't have to order like right now. It could be like some other time. It's no big deal. Like no rush. But you were like, nah, just like pick some out. We'll do it.
I was like, I don't know how long it's going to last. It doesn't say how long the deal goes for.
This
So like, if
is
you want to do it, let's
bullshit.
do it.
I was under the impression that it would last a lot longer, but I got the order in, got the confirmation, and then later that night saw that it was no longer in effect, presumably because Black Friday is right around the corner or like whatever other digital deals they'll be doing. But just hilarious the way Best Buy keeps fumbling the bag when it comes to their loyalty and rewards programs. They screwed us. They took away Gamers Club Unlocked, and it's never been the same ever since.
And it was so strange because it was literally like less than a day that this deal was up. So like they didn't take it away because, it was a single day deal. Like clearly they decided, this is bad for us because we're giving away brand new
people
games.
are buying these games.
Right.
Yeah.
The buy two get one was up for quite some time. I've been aware of that deal for like literal months.
Well, it comes and goes, and they change the catalog of available titles. And I think maybe this was the first time they were allowing like pre-orders for some of the big titles that were announced to be at the end of this year. So like Mario Wonder, and I'm not sure like exactly what the game selection has been.
When they announced Wonder and RPG Remake, all of the coverage I was reading was like, if you're a Best Buy member, your buy two get one will cover pre-orders. So like it's not a new program. They must have just been taking a bath on this with people taking advantage of it way more than they thought they would. And they felt like they needed to yank it so they could stop hemorrhaging money because it's a stupid good deal. Like they have no business doing that other than to drive subscriptions. But maybe they were just seeing a lot of like password sharing kind of stuff going on, like with your dad's Best Buy membership.
This deal comes up a few times a year and usually lasts like at least a week. So it's not like a brand new thing that they were doing, but the fact that this most recent round was up for such a limited time was very strange. I don't know, especially considering they've done it before.
The timing was funny in that I got my order in, and I didn't know that you didn't get your order in. I thought you had already gotten your stuff squared away, and then to text you or to tag you in that post, and it was like, this is funny. I mean, it's funny that we did this like 2 hours prior.
Right.
And then like I was in bed, like I was having trouble sleeping. So I like flipped my phone open and was like browsing Twitter as a sicko does. And I saw that and was like, man, I guess I'm glad that I got capitalismed into buying these games that I might not have like fully been like on board with right away. But it's pretty safe to jump on a 2-for-1 sale with Nintendo first party because they never go on sale, especially not for 33% off. So I'm lucky if I can get like, you're lucky if you can get Mario Kart 8 Deluxe for $50 now in 2023.
10 years later.
10 years after that game came out.
It's true.
$40 first party games are that's big time. And then you got Unicorn Overlord pre-ordered. So yeah, good shit. You know what? Other order I didn't get in this week, guys.
Oh no.
Can I run this because I feel kind of bad and want to express my feel bad. EJ,
Please. Please do.
Okay. So I get up on Friday morning and I am getting ready to drive for like literally 12 hours up to the northern straits of Michigan to go to Mackinac Island with Tiffany because it's fall break right now. I have like a nice fat 4-day weekend. And I see on my one of my Google links on my homepage is the Analogue Pocket is releasing a limited run of translucent, like jewel tone case variants. And I got a little bit of money in my pocket, so I'm like, ooh, do I need this? And I sent a text to EJ and Nick in our trio chat. I was like, do I need this? Like, do I really want this, or do I just think this is really a really good design? And Nick, who is like, Pocket King, Game Boy King, is like, you don't actually want it. I don't even play mine that often. And EJ, who is, I would expect to be sort of like, dude, don't buy shit you don't need. You talked me off the Switch Lite when it came out because I was like, I'm going to lose my mind and buy that for $200 for no good reason. You were like, no, you absolutely should buy this. Like, this is, I love it. I played it when I was on vacation. Like, it is the definitive way to play any old title. You should absolutely buy this.
If you ever plan on playing Game Boy games on real hardware, this is the only way to do it. Period. It is far and away the best way to play real Game Boy games. Like, it's not even in the same discussion as other backlit mods and custom whatever. This is the definitive way to do it. So I was like, yeah, if you plan on playing any cartridge games, hell yeah, man.
And I'm very susceptible to influence when I already have a mind to spend some money. And I got some money in the bank. And so I was like, great. Like, Nick sent me his text and I'm like, oh, thank God. Like, okay, somebody, like, you talked me down. Then EJ sent me his text and I was like, okay, I'm doing this. And I was like, I'm getting ready to get in the car. It's like 9 o'clock. It's going to open at 10 because that's 8 Pacific time. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to pull over at a gas station at like 5 to 10 and start refreshing my page. And I'm like, EJ, just in case, because I'm sure that you were on your computer and I was on my phone, and I don't trust mobile as much as I trust like a good solid like laptop or desktop, like a fixed browser, you know what I mean, as opposed to a mobile browser. I was like, if you get in there before I do, grab a green one, put it in your cart. So I get to said gas station with like 2 minutes to the hour and start refreshing. And I start refreshing. And just before the turn of the hour, the shop opens. I grab a green one. I throw it in my cart. I fill out all the information. I'm like ready to purchase basically. But I'm like, EJ's already got his in there. I'm like, hey, and EJ's like, hey, I am at purchase time. I am at the screen to buy the devices. Yes or no? And I'm like, no, get rid of it. I'm just about there myself. It's fine. I'll take the chance. I don't want to end up with 2 of them and not know what to do with it. So he's like, okay. And he just like, shit, I won't let me edit my cart. I'm thinking, well, I'll just cancel mine. And EJ comes back immediately and says, fuck. The purple one sold out. EJ had a glacier purple and a green. It's like the purple one sold out. I'm like, oh, fuck. So I just panic buy the green one immediately. And I'm like, yes, got it. Like, got my translucent green. That's great. If EJ also gets a green one, we'll fucking figure it out. EJ, and I'm like, I'm waiting. I don't hear anything from him. And I'm like, hey, let me know what you want to do. If you did get the green one and you don't want it, let me know if you want to flip it or if you want me to Zelle you some money. And you send it to me and I'll take care of flipping it if you don't want to deal with that. Like, whatever you want to do is totally fine. And EJ says, I didn't get either of them because it booted him back out of the processing order page when the purple was sold out, but the green wasn't. He tried to grab a red one. It said quantity loss. And I'm like, oh shit. I feel like a little bit bad because I'm like, would he have had time to get the purple one? If he'd have just been able to go straight to point of processing. And the only thing that's keeping me sane is the hope that that bitch was sold out before he would have been able to push buy anyway, in spite of not being able to edit the cart. I don't know, EJ, I feel a little bad. I feel bad enough that like, if you wanted to buy this green one off me, like we could have that conversation because I don't know. I feel poorly.
I don't need a third one. You know, I was like, okay, if I get one of the colors that I really want, I'll sell my sealed white one because you always got to have a backup for boutique shit like this.
That's
so
outrageous.
You have to. It's things that may never be made again, things that aren't going to be serviced years down the line.
Gag yourself and get that collector pill out of your throat, EJ. Get it out.
Always got to have a backup. Always got to have a backup.
That is crazy.
These things are finite, and if something breaks, it's gone forever. This isn't a PlayStation 5 that there will be 200 million of in 10 years or 15 years from now. You can just buy a used one on eBay. You know what I mean? These are so boutique and so limited, you have to have a backup. Here's the timeline. 7:59, I said, I'm spamming refresh. At 8 o'clock, I had both items in my cart with less than a minute until checkout. When I say at 8:02, I'm at checkout, yes or no? You say, I have 1 minute left, just get yours. At 8:04, it won't let me delete it from my cart. You said, we'll just get both and I'll Zelle you. Great. I'm trying to figure out how to delete it. So this is all over a span of 5 minutes. I'm trying to delete the one from the cart. It won't let me. And then in that meantime, the purple sells out. So yeah, there's a world where if I wasn't trying to get both and text somebody, I probably would have just gotten it immediately because less than a minute from the time I got it to the time I checked out. Because they have a queue system now. You get your item in the cart. It tells you how many or ahead of you or whatever and how much time it's going to be. Your item is theoretically reserved Like they know how many fucking units they have. So theoretically, your spot in line is like you're good now that you're in line, right? And by 8:04, it was sold out. And yeah, when I tried to go back and just do a new cart and just all the colors were sold out, even the ones that said they weren't sold out. Like I tried to add an orange one to my cart and it just errored me. So I was pretty unhappy about that. I think I texted Nick and was like, that's the last time I do a favor for anybody or something along those lines. I was irrationally upset with how it played out. So whatever. If I like just have to have one, I'll buy one on fucking eBay and sell my other one and it'll be a wash for me. But I don't really need another one, you know? I've got 2 of them. So it is what it is. It is what it is. But I tweeted at these people. I was so fucking angry.
Oh, no, you didn't.
Well, let me tell you. So here's the last time that I got angry at Analogue because of their business practices, like how they sent me a broken unit that I waited like 2 goddamn years for, guys. And they sent me a broken unit. And then when I emailed them, they said, we might not be able to send you a replacement for months. Send yours back and we'll send you one when we have a new one. And I was like, that's not acceptable. And I angrily tweeted at them being like, every fucking YouTuber from here to goddamn China has one of these a month early. I paid for this years ago. And I made a big stink about it and customer service contacted me and they ended up sending me a replacement right away, which is how it fucking should have been. But I said every single person got one of these for free to give you guys fucking free promo, and you're going to make me wait for either a fix or a replacement when you have the stock? Fuck no. So anyway, sometimes making us think works. In my case, it did not work this time. But I told them how I was like 8 o'clock sharp. I had products reserved in my cart, put my info in, and at 8:02 hit pay now before being told that both items were sold out. Went back to the store page and couldn't add a single item to my cart. Second time I've experienced this. Fuck your company. What is the fucking point of reserving stock if you can't even get through a 90-second checkout process before it sells out? What is the point of that? How have they not figured this out yet? 90 seconds. How limited are we talking? It's bullshit.
Pretty damn, man. Now, I'm 100% with you with regards to replacing stock and being told as soon as it becomes available. No, that is not acceptable. I agree with you about that.
Meanwhile, eBay full of resellers immediately.
If they, in fact, have the unit that they purport to have. I mean, come on. Like, let's not sit here and pretend like eBay is some bastion of good faith and honesty and truth in advertising. Like, come on.
eBay is the most reliable seller platform out there, period. It's got the most protections.
Okay, that means nothing. It's still bad. There are still so many ways.
It means that if I buy a fake analog for somebody, eBay's going to refund me without asking any questions, which Facebook Marketplace ain't going to do. Craigslist sure as hell ain't going to do.
And if you're selling an analog and someone purchases it and never sends you money, you are still going to be charged a seller's fee and you will never get that money back.
No, you're not.
Yes, you are.
You can't even check out. You can't even buy something without paying for it right away. It's like any other marketplace. I literally run a full-time eBay business, Chris. Don't argue with me about eBay. That's not how it works.
That tirade is a little extra for just not getting the thing. But as for all the other stuff, I'm totally with you. That's a little Sasquatch Karen to me, though, like yelling at them because you didn't get the thing in enough time.
That their website is so broken that the queue system didn't work and sold out my item in less than 90 seconds while I'm literally hitting pay now.
Or limited quantity. Like, I don't know what you want.
Well, the fact of the matter is that I wasn't trying to do a favor for my friend.
That's what you get.
That's what I fucking get.
You try to help your friends.
Again. Don't worry, it'll never happen again. All right, let's fucking move on from this bullshit and do week 2 of Critical Hits. Don't get used to this, folks. We're not doing this every week. Special occasion. Bren's back.
That is the most fun I've had in a goddamn minute, and I love recording with you guys every Monday. It is like one of the highlights of my week every fucking week. Critical Hits last week was a highlight among a highlight. I loved it.
I had a lot of fun listening to it last week. I was like, sitting in my car, like playing along with you guys. Like, I would have got that.
The people love it. The people have spoken.
Well, break it down for us, Chris. What are your modifications?
All right.
I know you're going to be adding shenanigans, but I want to have like a clear understanding of the rules going into it as far as what is allowed, what is disallowed, etc.
Absolutely. Thanks, Nick. As we have 3 competitors this week, we will be doing 6 rounds. Everyone will receive 2 selections per round in snake style, 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. In any given round, and I'm using round to refer to answers to a specific question, right? Like last week, we heard Nick ask us for a game in which we use a flashlight. That is one round. He then asked us to refer to a game that has a save room. That is another round. That is the term I'm using for round. As everybody like clears their devices out from the screen, Brandon's just swallowing his iPhone whole, like, oh.
Now the knowledge is inside of him.
Oh, keep in any given round, no franchise may repeat. No franchise may repeat, which is to say, if you recall from last week's episode, Give Me a Game with a Save Room, EJ, you would not in this week's round be able to say Metroid Prime Remastered and then subsequently answer Metroid Prime 2, as that is a repeat entry from the same franchise. That will not be allowed.
That's dumb. I don't like that. All right.
Well, I think it's dumb to just list 6 games from the same franchise instead of having some fucking originality, but what do I know?
Craft your questions with more specificity. That it would be my response to both of you crafting questions.
Next week you can do the questions.
I'm never hosting this. I don't ever want to host this.
Oh, because then you could just sit there and bitch and moan the whole time from a place of principle. Good for you, EJ. That's great. All right. I'm moving on. Please consult the banned list prior to selecting a game, or you will look like a fucking idiot, as I did last week, trying to pick Super Mario Odyssey. Nick has furnished us with a screenshot in alphabetical order of the games that are on this week's banned list in the chat for this channel. We agreed in communication in between last episode and this episode that rather than having a running total of games from every segment of Critical Hits, it will be a timed ban, which is to say if we used it in last week's segment, it cannot be used in this week's segment. Looking at the banned list right now, that includes such titles as Zelda: A Link to the Past, Alan Wake, Baldur's Gate 3, Chrono Trigger, Bloodborne, etc., etc. You all have access to that in the chat for this voice channel. This is in the spirit of trying to get us some more games to talk about and putting some more unique things on the board and not just rehashing the same 5 or 6 games that we know very well. I'm adding myself here a little bit as my games library is admittedly a little more shallow than I would like. Got to do some Metacritic surfing like EJ alluded to in the future to have a puncher's chance of winning one of these fucking rounds. But we shall see. Verdicts on acceptability will be made immediately. If you supply a game, I will tell you right away based on your justification if it will be allowed to fill this slot or not. Afterwards, you will have the opportunity to supply an alternate game. If that game is subsequently rejected, you will receive no points for that slot, period. Without exceptions, I think this is more than fair. We are giving folks a mulligan. If you supply an answer, like Kratos being a game in which you play as the bad guy, you will have an opportunity to supply an additional game to receive points for that slot. The point system. The highest rated game in any given round will receive 4 points. The second highest will receive 3. The third highest will receive 2. The fourth highest will receive 1. 5 and 6 will receive no points. In the event of ties, I will be following the system of Nick's benevolence, which is to say that if we have 2 games that tie for first place, the next game will receive second place slot points. So if we have 2 games that tie for first, the third highest rated game will receive 3 points as opposed to 2 points in some systems. So that is the way that we are scoring. I will also give 3 additional bonus points to the first person who can guess the theme for this week's installment. Beginning at the end of the 3rd round, and I will signpost this clearly, I will give a 10-second window for you all to shout your guesses as to what you think the theme for this week is. We will not be taking turns. We take enough turns in this show. It will be chaotic. You will all shout things. And if I hear the correct answer,
rip our editor.
I will award bonus points. It's a 10-second window. It's a 10-second window. EJ will be fine. Additionally, this is a very special segment of Critical Hits. This segment has a staff ghost. If any of you can beat the staff ghost score, you will receive an additional 2 bonus points at the end of the round. The staff ghost score was calculated by adding up their higher scoring game from each category. So as we proceed through today's round, whichever of the two games you supply is the higher scoring one will go into your cumulative total. And after 6 rounds, if you have beaten the Staff Ghost score, I will give you an additional 2 bonus points for the round.
And how did the Staff Ghost come up with their answers? By looking at Metacritic or blindly doing this and then cross-referencing?
That's a good question. The Staff Ghosts were asked to immediately reply with a title for each category without the aid of any electronic device or time to search. So I tried to replicate as close as possible to real conditions for the show. They did not have the benefit of additional time. They did not have the benefit of additional resources.
Shout out to Nate. What's up, dude?
I was just going to say, can we beat Nate?
I said ghosts. I said ghosts plural.
Oh my God. There's 2 Nates.
Nate and Nate 2.
Nate and his twin.
2 Nate, 2 Natius. Are there any questions about the rules for this week's installment of Critical Hits?
To clarify, the no repeats from last week is also applying to this week. So in a previous round, if EJ says Metroid Prime, I can't say Metroid Prime in the second round.
Yes, thank you for clarifying. Any game that is offered this week cannot be reused in an additional round. That is correct, because that would just be fucking boring.
Cool. Let's get it.
What order are we talking? Nick's so excited to compete. Look at him. Look at him. He's dancing.
Oh, I love it. I love the passion. All right. In the first round, Bren, because you are dragon ass in the back of the league, we're going to give you the benefit of starting first. The order for this round will be Bren, EJ, Nick, EJ, Bren.
Lovely.
The question for round 1 of today's installment of Critical Hits. Give me a game with an underdog story. Give me a game with an underdog story.
Grand Theft Auto 5.
Explain.
Specifically Franklin's story.
Okay, elaborate.
I don't know.
Well, he grew up on the streets. He didn't have a lot, and he pretty much has to like crawl his way to the top of this, crime spree that they're going into.
He starts robbing banks, okay? It's not an underdog story. It's a story of a couple of dorks who became bigger dorks by killing people.
Rags to riches, dude. I don't know.
On. Also, everybody fucking dies at the end of that game.
Whoa, spoiler!
No, not the good ending.
Yeah, not when you're playing as a Sith.
Any objection? EJ, you're saying no, but you're not really providing any justification for that no. Do you have any
He didn't provide any justification for Franklin being an underdog. Franklin is a street criminal who does slightly bigger crimes with a guy who used to be a jewelry thief. He just drives getaway cars and kills other street thugs. It's not a rags to riches story. He's just a petty criminal working with a fucking tweaker and a former, slightly less petty criminal. Not an underdog story. He doesn't overcome great odds to accomplish anything.
No one said that was the explicit definition for underdog story.
What is the definition of an underdog story then? Every game's an underdog story. Mario's an underdog story.
If you can make the case to me that it is, sure. Humble origins, a Brooklyn plumber, saving a whole kingdom. I mean, God.
I don't have the energy to litigate every single one of these. It's not a fucking underdog story.
We'll see. EJ, your selection.
Maybe if you want to judge the round, you could be the dictator of whether or not these things are true.
You sure can.
If we're going to really stretch things here, let's go Metal Gear Solid 3. One man against the fucking world.
Elaborate.
One man in a cardboard box taking on SWAT armies on his own. He is, in every sense, the underdog.
I mean, he has way more training than everybody.
Oh, he has more training than literally thousands of trained operatives? He has more than literally the totality of an entire army, Brennan, because good luck making that case. He is literally an underdog. He's John Wick fighting thousands of men on his own with a box.
John Wick was never the underdog.
It's a sheer numbers game. You're literally like Michael Jordan, best player in the world. He's still the underdog when he's playing the fucking goated Pistons, okay? It's just a numbers game at that point. Metal Gear Solid fucking 3, the underdog story. If you're going to allow GTA 5, there is no way you cannot allow this. There's no way.
When did I say I wasn't going to allow it?
The look on your face right now is starting.
Do you
to
see
worry
that
me a little
180?
bit,
That
Chris.
180. That 180 was fucking gold. I can't wait to listen back to this episode. He came correct real fucking quick. Nick, your title.
Jesus Christ. This is the worst.
It'd take forever, dude.
Yeah, man. I mean, because like every game is, but most games aren't actually, because
Exactly.
every game is a power fantasy story. So they usually do start with, a character with less skills. And then by the end of the story, they are fighting God, for example. So
Bully 2.
actually, Bully only had one game. The first game that popped into my head, I don't even know if it scored really well, but on the original PS2, Ratchet and Clank, you're just this mechanic on a backwater planet, and you get roped into the machinations of a weird villain, and the Captain Quark character is just hilarious, and it's just a pastiche of a lot of space operas, and you have a really good back and forth between Ratchet and Clank, the titular heroes. But I think that's a total underdog story of like, this is weird little furry guy who's running around with a literal wrench as your weapon, and you're just beating shit up. And eventually you get the rhino, you're ripping new ones all around the world. The worlds.
Nick, please give me your next title.
My next title is going to be Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition on the Switch. You play as Shulk, who's just like a scientist. He's just a nerdy dude, and his friend, and they're just salvagers. Like, they just pick up scrap metal. And by the end of the story, you are literally fighting God, who is also you, because you are a clone of a person who created the universe as a means of as a power source. You're a power source. It's the Matrix, but also you're fighting like angels and shit because it's a JRPG. But yeah, he's just nothing. He's just a dude living in a colony.
EJ, your second title.
The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. You are but a boy single-handedly going up against the forces of evil and his army of darkness. Link is the original underdog.
I don't know. Tell me more.
I will not give you any more content. Put it down.
I don't know. Refusing justification.
2 demerits.
Oh. Yeah, EJ has not been in a school setting in a long time, so I don't know if he's going to really get along with teacher Chris.
Well, when he was in a school setting, he definitely didn't get along with the teacher Chris's of the world, so that definitely tracks. Bren, your second title.
Pokemon Red. It really doesn't matter, but that's the one that comes to my head. I honestly don't know the story because I haven't played them, but you start out.
Don't tell him
that.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I've played it, but I haven't played through.
Your
I don't know the
justification?
story. Oh, I'm getting there. Because you start out as a kid, you get your first Pokemon, and then you go and you battle. You have to battle through and train up all these people and go through the gyms and beat all the other trainers and beat the best trainers. You have to start from the lowest and get to the top.
With your rival one step ahead of you. That is a beautiful answer. Give him Pokemon Red. I love that, Brennan.
Well, he didn't mention the rival. And if he hadn't have, and if it had not have
It
gotten
doesn't matter.
introduced-
There are objectively right answers here. Just because he doesn't show his work doesn't mean it's not the right answer.
Objectivity is a
I
lie.
think he's literally saying that showing the work makes it the right answer, EJ.
Yeah, is if you justify
He's
it.
prompting us specifically for us to have answers beyond just the words of the game title.
Yeah,
Are you paying attention?
I want you to be creative. As Nick said it last week, I want them to be abused. I want you to find creative justifications. I want you to sell me on these titles. And if you had not put Rival on the board and left Bren to flounder, I probably wouldn't have taken it. But now that it's in the ether, okay, I'll score the round. Competitive round, I might add. A very competitive round.
EJ got the 4 points because he chose the highest rated game of all time on Metacritic because he's been studying.
Excuse me. I am judging this round.
Oh, wow. It's giving extra or less points based on stretching.
Excuse me.
Sorry,
Sorry,
Mr. Gillyfor.
It's Professor Gillyfor. In first place, with a score of 99, it is EJ receiving 4 points for The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. In second place, receiving 3 points with a score of 97, Grand Theft Auto 5. In third, receiving 2 additional points with a score of 91, is Metal Gear Solid 3. And salvaging the 1 point with a score of 89, it's Nick with Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. Let me do a little tabulation over here. Talk amongst yourselves.
Ratchet and Clank was the hard pick. And also just trying to think of an underdog story that was like actually an underdog story.
I get flustered.
As opposed to like Mario World, because, he's just a plumber, but then he can fly.
I mean, this man is trying to sow discord among his fellow podcasters.
It's so easy when you're part of that crew.
Wow.
It really truly is.
I like how you said sowing discourse when the phrase is sowing discord, but it makes more sense in the sense of trying to get us to talk.
I am going to listen back on that.
Insert clip.
We'll run it back. We'll run it back. Kind of like how last week Chris thought I said, it gets me fully porked.
Your T vowel was very dental, okay? It could have been a P.
No, that was a hard T. That was a hard consonant, my friend. A fully porked consonant.
Chris, just because EJ has a lisp doesn't mean you can just fully call him out like that.
Thank
man.
you. That's ableist. Ableist.
Wow. All
just
right.
because I'm not like everybody else.
Well, that's certainly true. Second round. Second round. The order for this round: EJ, Nick, Brennan, Nick, EJ. EJ, you are leading off.
Let's run it.
Okay. Give me a game that you can't help but put another quarter into, literally or metaphorically. Give me a game that you can't help but put another quarter into, literally or metaphorically.
I'm typing out all of these questions so that I can keep a tally so I can try and figure out the theme as we go here. All right, band list in front of me. Can't help but put another quarter into. Of course, I know you're trying to bait me into Joust, but I know that's not going to have a score. So
I wish that were true. I wish that were true.
Can't help but put another quarter into. I'm going to equate this with literally you die in a arcade game, you put another quarter, you restart the run. We're talking roguelikes here. What are some of my favorite roguelites? Let's go Vanilla Dead Cells here. Yeah,
okay.
One of my favorite roguelites.
The justification is self-evident for us here on the podcast, but for the benefit of our listeners, could you explain a little more about roguelikes as a genre and why that meets the criterion?
Roguelite, it's generally speaking procedurally generated, and you die, your run is reset, and you literally start the game over from scratch. Some games will let you have some element of progression that you will slowly start to build sort of how your overarching playthroughs go, but when you die, you reset. You're putting a new quarter in and starting that run over. So
well said. Nick, your title.
Hades.
Everyone's just hitting fucking goddamn roguelikes now.
Well, no, that was immediately my first thought was Hades. Like you said, EJ, obviously this is the roguelike poll. It is I need one more run. I did so well last time. I almost beat the boss. I know if I could just get slightly luckier, get better drops, make a better decision at the doors, and Hades is emblematic of that in all of its gameplay design, and also mixed in with the story and getting to know these characters better, having these interactions that are so crucial to that game, but is fairly unique in that genre. I think that is totally emblematic of putting another quarter in, as it were, and just like it's so bite-sized, but those bites you keep biting. So it ends up being like you're going to spend hours with that game, even though you could have just spent 20 minutes.
If there were a quarters to minutes ratio for Hades, I think that I would have been.
I wouldn't buy that Analog Pocket.
I wouldn't have made rent like 3 months ago. Brennan,
You'd be homeless.
I would be homeless. Brennan, your first selection.
Also going in the same direction, I'm going with Vampire Survivors. Also a roguelike, collectible, getting power-ups each run, trying to get further in the time, get your 20 minutes and beat the final boss. And yeah, I spent a lot of time on that one.
Okay. Your second answer, Brennan.
The Binding of Isaac Afterbirth.
Afterbirth specifically.
Yes. I think that's the last DLC that came out for it. And you also do physically in the game are pumping quarters in machines and trying to get power ups. And
flavor points.
yes.
Give the man an extra.
I will not.
I'll do no such thing. Okay, maybe I do want to host this one week.
Dude, it's fun. You got to do it. You can have that power, EJ. You just have to write some categories. Nick, your second choice.
I'm going to go with Overwatch.
Explain.
I think this is like multiplayer games in general. It is the same hook that you get with a roguelike, but with your buddies. So it is a hangout game, but it's also a, hey, let's run it back one more time. Like, let's have our victory. Like, we lost last round. I played like shit. Let's change our strategy. Let's improve. And you want to get that win. You want to end on a high note for the night. And that'll keep you coming back. Even if you're done, you want to end on a high note, and that kind of addictive kind of putting quarters in the machine that pull the slot one more time. Not to mention the loot boxes are literally pulling slots in the original Overwatch back in 2016. Like, it is categorically a like gambling game, but skill based.
Okay. EJ, your second selection.
By that logic, I want to leap over into the world of sports games. And especially for me, you always want to end one last game. You got to end on a win. And to break that down even further, you got to end on a made shot. So given that logic of multiplayer games and always having to play one last game, let's do something like NFL 2K1. That is sort of the ultimate arcade experience of like very bite-sized games. You know, you're not playing in real time. You know, you're like doing 2-minute quarters or whatever, and just blasting through. You know, got to end on a win, got to end on a made field goal. You know what I'm saying?
Somebody looked at the top Metacritic scores.
I did my research last night. You think I didn't go through and look at the top 100?
That is so different than the current culture of playing a last game.
Why would you know the score of NFL 2K1?
We all did our
I need a hand
research.
check? Do I need a hand check on you, Brennan Allen?
No, because I did this before.
And tell me, what are the periods in football referred to as?
The quarter?
Jesus Christ. I wish I had built in a flavor point mechanic, because I would be docking you a fucking point right now, but I'm not going to.
That'll be next time when you host. You have to think of extra rules, literally, just so EJ isn't gaming the system.
I'm not gaming the system. I fucking knew we were playing this week. I did my research, and I'm having to play the fucking game like the rest of you.
Because so Overwatch, like if EJ said something like Warzone 2 or Warzone, I can get that. Playing one last match, Rocket League, like playing one last match, get there, that multiplayer competitive. That was not there for 2K1 in 2000. You're sitting on a couch with your buddies. No, it's not the same thing. It is not the same thing. That's like playing it, like you can say Super Smash Brothers for that, you know? That is the same type of competitive.
Acceptable answer by the arbiter's approved logic.
Well, you don't know that.
You have to give him a verdict so he can make a replacement if need be, though.
I think he already made his verdict.
I am taken by the punny nature of one more quarter with regards to a football game, so I am going to allow it.
Eat out of my hand, boy.
I worry about you. I really do. In first place for this round with a score of 97, it is EJ with NFL 2K1. He did his Metacritic
Weird.
Googling.
It's all up here. I'm not cheating right now. It's all in the brain. It's all off
matters.
the dome.
What's going to be really fun the next time we do this is all of this research that he did, like, it's all going to be on the banned list. And so he's just going to have to do that much more research, which is amusing.
That's true. It's part of the game.
In second place with a score of 93, it is Nick with Hades. Nick grabbing the 3 points here. Third place with a score of 89 is Dead Cells. EJ
Wow.
double dipping. No, excuse me. I'm sorry. That is the fourth place selection with a score of 89. The third place selection with a score of 91 is Overwatch, is Nick with Overwatch. So, Bren, you were shut out of this round with scores of 87 and 85. Vampire Survivors was an 87, and Binding of Isaac Afterbirth was 85. All right, tabulation is complete. Round 3. The order is Nick, Brennan, EJ, Brennan, Nick. Give me a game, Nick, in which you can cooperate with another player or sabotage them.
Cooperate or sabotage.
Correct.
Human player?
The wording of the question is, give me a game in which you can cooperate with another player or sabotage them.
It's very, very interesting. Immediately, the genre that jumps out at me is sandbox survival type games. Though I'm not sure if any of those have historically reviewed super well. I want to go with Minecraft. I think
explain.
that is emblematic of a very open way of playing. I haven't played it since it was like very early on, before there was like a story mode, really. But even then, because of the systems in play and the open-ended way you interacted with the game, it was a lot of, hey, I wanted to gather that resource, but someone else took it from me. It's, it's that kind of cooperation where it's like, oh, let's build a fort together, and then you end up blowing up your friend's fort because it's funny. Like, it's very much a feast or famine when it comes to cooperating, and then it just turns into a war of escalation. Like, that is the way that game is played in its best form, I would say.
I will allow this.
Which platform?
Whatever scored the highest.
Commit to one.
No, no. Stop it. Same as Nick. Nick was really gracious with us last week that he gave us the benefit of whatever platform was the highest scoring. I think it's fair we continue that here. I would do the same for you, EJ. I would do
What
the same
platform
for
did you want for NFL 2K1, EJ? Did you even pick a platform? Why this ruling now?
Yeah, no, come on.
Because there are widely disparate experiences by platform. And, I remember that I had to choose a season of Walking Dead, even though Metacritic just has Telltale's The Walking Dead. They didn't split it out by season. I'm just saying, I don't know.
Oh, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Bren, your first title.
Dark Souls 3.
Ooh, elaborate.
So in multiplayer mode, you can disguise yourself as like somebody who will help you in the game. So like, they're based on different colors. When you invade somebody's world, you can literally make yourself look like somebody who will help. Like, you can turn gold or whatever and look like you're in well, I don't even know what the word is. Like, you can look like one of their summons, and then you can just literally turn around and stab them in the back and kill them.
Okay, so that's sabotage, but you have not articulated to me yet at all how you can cooperate with another player.
You can cooperate by going and killing the boss together with someone. So you can literally complete the game with someone and help them get through the game and help them beat bosses.
I'll allow it. EJ.
I get 2 in a row. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. Piggybacking off of Brennan's answer, I believe Bloodborne is not. Is Bloodborne banned? Was that 2 weeks ago or 2 times ago?
Bloodborne is in fact on the banned list.
Yeah, if only you could look at your phone that took a picture of the banned list, EJ.
Is Bloodborne on the banned list because it was an answer last week, or because it was a holdover from the first?
Because it was an answer last week.
It was used last week. Please select a different title.
New Super Mario Bros. Wii. You can literally platform with your buddies and have fun, or you can pop their bubble over a cliff and kill them, or you can pick them up and throw them off of a cliff. Friendly fire is real in that game. So, and if you played that game, you fucking know, dude, how many times you died because someone is fucking with you. My asshole brother and his friends fucking with me.
Do we feel good about this answer?
Yeah, you can cooperate or sabotage a player. You can kill a player intentionally. Yes, come on.
Okay, your second answer?
Cooperate or sabotage. If I were to choose a game, for example, like GTA 5, citing its, I know it's banned, citing its online components, would you allow that and give me GTA 5's score, considering online is not going to be rated separately?
GTA Online is a completely different thing from GTA 5.
Is it separated on Metacritic, or do the aggregators or the reviewers talk about the online component in their reviews?
I am not answering that question. It's your job to supply the title and my job to rule on it.
Red Dead Redemption 2.
Make your case.
I just did the online component. You're either squadding up and freaking raiding carts. You can go around and just fucking ruin everybody's day by killing their horses and taking their plunder. It fits the criteria. It's just a matter of whether or not that game's score counts on its own. Because again, it's not rated separately. It doesn't have reviews for just the online component.
You should look up, because Red Dead Redemption Online.
Can you
different.
give me the title of the online component? Because Red Dead Redemption 2 is not the online experience for that game.
It's RDR2 online. This doesn't have a name.
It does, and you have not given it to me. Nick started this precedent, okay? So I'm going to need a title.
Does that title have a separate review on Metacritic, or is it under Red Dead Redemption 2, Chris?
I don't know, EJ. It doesn't matter. That is up to you.
It does matter.
Give me the answer.
I'm giving you Red Dead Redemption 2 because the online component is part of the game and part of the reviews on Metacritic under Red Dead Redemption 2. I'm not going to get into a pissing match. I'm either right or I'm not.
You don't have to get into a pissing match. I do not accept Red Dead Redemption 2. Give me another title. That is not the online component for that game. It has a separate name and a separate Metacritic page.
It does have a separate Metacritic page.
It sure does, because it has a separate title. You need to give me another title. You did not supply a title.
It has to either be online or multiplayer, right? It really has a separate Metacritic page? I'm going to look this up immediately after submitting my answer.
You don't have to look it up because it does, and yes, it does.
Also, I would like to submit a new rule that if someone does like whiff on their second guess, that Chris, you would have to say "Good day, sir," in the tone of what's his name? I can't remember the actor's name from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, or Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Excuse me,
Gene Wilder.
Gene Wilder. Yeah, I was just totally whiffing that one.
Good day, sir.
I can't think of another game, so I'm going to go Red Dead Redemption 2 multiplayer. Red Dead Redemption multiplayer. Is that it?
That's really funny because no, it's not.
What is it?
Bren, your second answer.
Can you rephrase the wording of the question again?
I sure can, Brennan. Give me a game in which you can cooperate with another player or sabotage them.
So player, not character.
The word is player.
I don't think my
Does
answer.
Plock have multiplayer?
I had a good one, but I don't think it would fit.
You'll never know until you try.
I guess. Well, I was gonna say Mass Effect 2.
Okay, elaborate. I'm going to need some convincing on this one for sure.
Well, so my issue is with the word player and not character, because character, you can cooperate with characters and either save an entire species, or you can not cooperate with them and sabotage them and kill an entire race and change the outcome of their future.
That's gonna be a no from me, dog.
Okay. Then I'm just gonna Escape from Tarkov. It's a multiplayer shooter. You go in and you can team up with people. You can get loot and turn around them and shoot them in the head, or help them escape to the extraction zone.
Certainly seems like it meets the criterion of the question. Then, Nick, your second answer.
Halo 3. All the Halo games are games in which you can play in co-op 2-player throughout the campaign. And yes, there is friendly fire. And yes, you can throw a sticky grenade in a fit of glee at your compatriot and destroy them, whether on purpose or totally on accident. And maybe it was more on purpose than you pretended, like when you said, oh, no, I thought I was throwing a frag grenade, but I threw a sticky and I got you in the head and it was glowing on the screen. And I definitely didn't do that on purpose, but you definitely did do it on purpose. Betrayal.
I think that makes sense to me. Stand by, tabulating, talk amongst yourselves.
I'm really struggling to remember what the second question was. EJ, what was it?
Oh, you want me to give you help?
If you want, I mean, you don't have to. You don't have to tell me. I'm just asking you. I'm requesting. You can say, no, I won't respond if you so choose. If you're so competitive that you don't want the extra 2-3 points.
I'm going to need it now after not getting Red Dead Online.
Yeah, it's the name is Red Dead Online, EJ.
And how would you know that without Googling, EJ?
I Google it when I fucking submitted my answer. I can fucking do that.
Oh, he's on a web browser. Hand check. Show me the hands.
Right here. Sorry, both hands.
Those are fingers. I said hands. EJ, you had an opportunity to dodge a bullet, sir, because Red Dead Online has no score on Metacritic, and your insistence on sticking with it was your downfall.
I took a 0 anyway, so doesn't matter.
You did, but
I couldn't think of another game.
If you'd have pivoted successfully, you could have salvaged that response. In first place, with a score of 94, it's Nick with Halo 3. In second place with a score of 93, it is also Nick with Minecraft. Nick taking both of the top 2 slots this time. In third place with a score of 89, that's Bren with Dark Souls 3, nabbing the 2 points. And at 87, New Super Mario Bros. Wii, EJ getting that single in round 3 to stay on the board. I am going to start a stopwatch in just a moment. You will have 10 seconds to begin shouting guesses as to what you believe the theme for this week's installment of Critical Hits is. In 3, 2, 1, go.
Arcade games.
Casino, action. Also, the 7, or I don't even know how many there are, but the archetypes of storytelling. That was one that jumped out at me as a possibility.
Time.
EJ's keeping silent strategically.
And we move on to round 4. This round, Bren, you're back up first. EJ, you're picking second. Nick, you've got the 3-4 back-to-back, then EJ, Bren. Brennan, please give me a game that involves futzing through menus.
Skyrim.
You're going to need to really sell me on that one.
I mean, you have your skill trees that you have to go through. You have to go through all your equipment. You have to put all your powers in. You have to futz around through those menus all the time.
All games have menus. This is true, but futzing through menus based on the meme established on this podcast, where specifically you're constantly pausing your game in the middle of a combat interaction to change powers, swap weapons, heal, etc. I would not say Skyrim falls under that definition.
So there's a meta that I don't understand, a meme here that I don't understand.
I will weigh in here. It's less about the Console Crusade deep lore as much as it is about futzing through menus. Every game has menus. I do not accept that Skyrim as a game inherently involves futzing through menus. Bren, please give me another title.
The well-established idiom. Okay, Bren, you're our OG. Come on. Don't even think about giving Tears of the Kingdom or Breath of the Wild, because you know Chris is going to shoot that down quick as fuck, boy.
You don't know anything.
Yeah, if you want to give Brendan the opportunity to take Breath of the Wild, that's on you, EJ, for bringing it up out loud before your turn.
I have hours of Chris vehemently denying that you futz through any menus in those games. So
well, Brendan might make a very compelling argument. And
I somehow doubt it, but I'll give you the opportunity here, buddy.
You're such an asshole.
Don't worry, I agree with you, Brennan, that EJ is in fact an asshole.
This is the hardest question so far. Clear lack of specificity. Nick has an answer. I can tell by the finger wag. He is biding his time.
You've got to make the specificity apparent for me. That's all.
I might even have 3 guesses if one of them gets axed.
Just because I cannot think of another game right now, I'm going to go with Starfield.
I thought of Starfield too. There's a lot of fucking butts in that
There's
game.
There's a lot of fucking menus in that fucking game. And Chris would know if you've played it, but there's a lot of futzing around every single time. Ugh, don't even get me started. There's the ship menus. There's your equipment that you have to go in and out of every single time, and you're constantly dropping guns because you're not hitting the... It's fucking Skyrim, which is right there, but in space!
Bren, oh my God. That is an EJ level mauled. I will allow it.
That is the sound of a man who has futzed for too long.
He's all out of futz to give. EJ, your title, please.
Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Well established my distaste for how things in that game work. Tears of the Kingdom did improve upon it, but having to change weapons mid-fight because they're constantly breaking, manually opening a menu after you've opened a chest, having to back out, reopen the menu, go through, find the weapon you want to drop so you can open the chest again and select the item out of the chest. The lack of recipe system. Every time you're trying to cook something, you're opening your menu back up, you're scrolling all the way through a list of shit you can't sort properly so you can add them one at a time into your fucking hand or into your pot. It is Menu the game. In an otherwise beautiful, engaging world, you are constantly in a menu trying to select something, again, in this system where you can hardly sort anything. Come on, Breath of the Wild.
Please give me a different title.
Also years, 6 years of me just molding, as you like to say, just stewing in the shit stew that is fucking modern Nintendo games. What did Nate have to say for this? What does our ghost have to say? He had to put Breath of the Wild for the meme.
Wouldn't you like to know, and maybe
Yeah,
I'll tell
I'm
you
sure
at
I'll
the
find
end,
out.
what our mystery ghosts provided for that answer, but I will accept that. Nick, your first title.
By the skin of his just compounding bald man rage.
Bald man rage?
Balding, excuse me.
Wow.
We can see through it. It means it's going pretty quick.
Oh,
Wow, guys.
just as transparent as him trying to fucking weasel in NFL 2K1.
And I let him do it.
Anyway, I know you did. You are a very generous host, Chris.
Another quarter. It's good. It's good. It's
Another
a good
quarter.
bit.
My first game that I would offer up as being primarily menu futzing is Super Smash Bros. For Wii U. These games have awful UI, and it takes an inordinate amount of time just to get into a match. You don't know where to click, like which menu item takes you to just a regular, like 1v1 battle. It's impossible to know. How do you get to the single player? Oh, well, there's two different single players. Oh, is this actually the campaign mode, or is this the weird party mode? Is this the home run derby thing that they added on later? So it's tucked away over on the right side, and you don't know that it's there because it's a weird DLC thing, and Nintendo doesn't know how to actually, surface those things. It's awful.
You said Brawl?
No, Wii U.
Wii U.
Smash 4, legendarily bad UI. Pretty, sometimes, but it is not functional. How many button presses does it take to get into a multiplayer match? Too many.
There's like 3 options on that menu.
But if I press down, does it go down or does it go to the right and slightly down? It's not labeled. It's not laid out like a menu, like a restaurant menu. You're futzing around in a weird abstraction of what a menu is imagined by Sakurai's wife.
I wholeheartedly agree that is one of the worst designed UIs of a first-party Nintendo game. I do not accept this as a submission because the core gameplay experience is entirely unaffected by this once you are into gameplay. Please provide a different
Also,
title.
can we ban players from trying to argue it by providing screenshots? Because he's literally doing research when I'm not allowed to. I don't have a keyboard in front of me, so EJ is just cheating.
I'm not looking in the chat whatsoever. However, EJ, I will deduct points if you do that again.
Okay.
And it will be a stiff penalty. You do not need to be on Google right now.
Yeah, let's establish all this at the start of the game, boys.
Oh, how about let's establish this last week when we talked about no one should be on devices unless you're justifying your selection.
Or we can all just look up after the fact and look up Red Dead Online's name because we don't actually know the name of games. We just pretend like a game has a type. So we're like, oh, well, that must have a good score.
You mean the entire point of this game that y'all concocted?
The point of the game is to think of the game, not look it up, EJ.
That's neither here nor there. I do not accept Smash Bros. Wii U. Nick, I need a different title.
Okay. Final Fantasy X.
Elaborate.
The sphere grid system, though really cool, is overwhelming as hell, especially once you take into account when you're playing as Kamari and he's a blue mage sort of stand-in and he can go anywhere in the grid. And every time you level up, you get an assortment of well, it's not even just that when you level up, but you just always get these different, basically currencies, and you can plug them in different ways. And it's way too complicated. It allows for a lot of customization, but a lot of that customization is literally just scrolling through a grid of skill tree that is oh, you get 5% extra crits, or you unlock this ability and you don't know if the ability is good until you unlock it. And yeah, that game is 100% menus, and the battle is a menu. Everything you do is menu based or a cutscene.
Okay. Your second title.
So I think futzing, obviously, the first thing that came to mind for me was Smash Bros. Because the UI is so bad. And it's the struggling with the UI and with the menu system is the whole spirit of the prompt. So, what's a great RPG with bad UI? We've already got Starfield. We already got Final Fantasy X. See, I wish I already hadn't burned a prompt. I don't have any mulligans anymore, or else I would be the asshole that tries to get Red Dead Redemption 2. But I'm not even going to go down that road.
Wait, we only get one do-over if we put a game that you reject?
Yeah.
You're just...
Well, you don't just keep getting questions. You already got a 0 because you tried to get Red Dead 2
Nick,
online.
This is a per slot basis. I rejected your first response to your first slot. You could try to make the case for Red Dead with this, and if it were rejected, you would be allowed to submit an alternate title as it is a separate slot.
Okay. I would have assumed it was 1 per round. Thank you for the clarification.
I am just and kind. I want you all to be successful.
But especially Brennan.
That's right, Bren.
He's our special boy, our special guest boy. I'm going to go with Fallout 3.
Tell me about it.
As a Bethesda RPG, it is rife with interacting systems. EJ, do you have something to add?
Brendan's really pissed right now.
One of which is so, I don't know, it is just, everyone seems to hate it. Some people defend it, but having encumbrance built in means that you're constantly having to empty out your pockets, especially in a game like Fallout where, why wouldn't you just pick up everything? I mean, it has a button, you just pick it up and you put it in your bag, and then suddenly you're walking slowly like, oh, I got to go sell my stuff. I got to go level up my system. Oh, my combat is only through these like freeze time events. And because they can't make a shooter, and they couldn't make a shooter for like 15, 20 years until they recently got the developers of Doom to help them make a shooter. But everything in that game is a menu, even like the weird hacking games. That's like, it's not hacking. It's just a list of words on a screen, which is a menu. And then leveling up your different attributes. It is very, very menu driven. And maybe to the disadvantage of the player having to interact with those systems.
On the grounds of the body part targeting, specific combat, and hacking also being menu based, I will allow this selection. EJ, your second title.
This one's for the boys back home. I'm hoping Chris has played it because he'll fucking know what I'm talking about. Shout out Brandon. Secret of Mana on the Super Nintendo. Might not have a score on Metacritic, but one of the all-time like awful UIs for classic RPGs. Items not telling you what they do, having to go into a menu 2 different times to actually equip items to characters, having to like go into a menu fully to switch powers mid-combat for different characters. An incredibly frustrating experience that turned me off from it. Even playing multiplayer or playing co-op with someone who knew the game like the back of his hand, I was like, this fucking sucks. You go to shops and it doesn't tell you what anything does until you buy the thing and then go into a different menu and equip it to go find what it actually changes in your character stats. It's incredibly frustrating game held back specifically by its awful use of menus. And it's got like the scroll wheel that pops up. Like, fuck that game.
And there are like 4 or 5 specific different scroll wheels, and you have to toggle through all of them mid-combat. I just played Secret of Mana last fall. I absolutely accept this. It is terrible.
Awful.
It is the futziest futz that ever was futzed as far as futzing through menus goes. Bren, your second selection.
I had a different game and I completely lost it.
No.
I know. So I'm gonna go with Legend of the Obra Dinn. No, Return of the Obra Dinn.
There you go.
And that game is almost entirely, over half of it is a menu where you're going around picking up evidence, and then you're going in and piecing it, going back to this other page. Who's who? This person was where, and they got killed by who? I have to go. You have to look and look and look and go back. You're going back to different chapters. It is almost entirely done in menus.
He's back on the board, boys. He's back.
EJ, is Secret of Mana one where, because it's multiplayer, right? Can everyone pause the game? And you're like, oh, I wasn't ready for you to do that.
I don't remember. I don't remember.
Man.
In first place for this round, with a score of 97, it is EJ with Zelda Breath of the Wild. In second place with a score of 93, it is Nick with Fallout 3. In third place with a score of 92, it is Nick again with Final Fantasy X. And in fourth place with a score of 91, pulling in that 1 point, it's Brennan with Return of the Obra Dinn.
Damn, that got a 91.
Yeah, Secret of Mana doesn't have scores, does it?
It has a score, and it's an iOS port, and it's an 80.
Oof. Oh, not bad, actually.
That's the only Metacritic out there, huh?
As far as iOS ports go, it's not bad, but it is far from ideal.
I know the remaster didn't do particularly well, so.
Yeah. I'm going to open a stopwatch and start a 10-second window in which you can shout your guesses as to what you think the theme for this round is. In 3, 2, 1, go.
Chris choosing games that are going to piss EJ off, specifically.
It's so telling that EJ thinks that everything revolves around him.
All right. Round 5. EJ, you're leading off, followed by Nick. Brennan with the back-to-back, then Nick, EJ. EJ, please give me a game in which currency matters a lot. Please give me a game in which currency matters a lot.
Let's go Dark Souls 2.
Explain.
I mean, your souls are literally your means for progression in a game, and they are extremely precious because if you die and do not recollect them when you die again, just all your currency is gone, and it's extremely punishing. So in that sense, that currency matters even more than a similar action title.
Okay, Nick, your first title.
Money matters.
Currency matters.
Currency matters.
That
a
is
lot.
the phrasing in which currency matters a lot.
Currency, recency, things that are happening now.
Oh, do it to him. Do it to him, Nick.
No. I cannot bear the weight of that pun. You already got him with quarters. I can't do a repeat of that.
Truly riveting radio. This is going to edit down, though, pretty nicely, pretty concise. It's going to make us sound a lot smarter than we are off the dome.
That's the goal, baby, making us sound smarter than we are.
Snip, snap, snip, snap.
I'm just struggling to think of even games where currency matters a lot. Because, yeah, EJ, like you said, almost every game. Like, it is rare for a game not to have a currency of some sort, right? Like, that would even be a harder prompt. A game without currency.
Like skill points are currency, right? Like
currency can be exchanged for goods and services.
that is one way of looking at it from a certain point of view.
I would say that is the main definition of what a currency is. But which case it matters a lot is even more debatable. I'm going to go with Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword on the Wii. I mean, it's obviously going to have a higher score than the remaster would, but my explanation for why it matters so much is that so much of the game is locked behind the ability to buy certain things. Like, you can't even get a bug net without buying it, and like the bug catching is so crucial to expounding on your inventory slots, and all of that is just locked behind what you can buy. Same with the pouch expansions. Everything is money gated in that game. Like, it is the worst, I think, offender of the Zelda series, where I think I don't know if they started it in Ocarina of Time or Link to the Past or whichever, but having the adult wallet or like the larger wallets so that you're not hitting 99 rupees and then you're screwed because you can't buy something that costs 150. Skyward Sword has a really bad problem of that happening over and over. Chris, I hope you remember that because that was the main thing that I bumped up against, was having enough money and also having enough like place to put my money, like the wallets. It was really annoying.
Can you beat the game without doing that, however?
Maybe, but that doesn't necessarily mean it doesn't matter. You literally don't get a shield unless
Matter a lot.
have enough money to go buy a shield. I would argue that
You can beat Dark Souls 2 without leveling up.
Yeah, I was gonna say you could beat Dark Souls 2 without any souls, EJ. That's a skill issue, and I gave you points for that. So, no, Skyward Sword is egregious, and you have the benefit of me having just played this and experiencing it, that you literally don't even get a shield. They do not give you a shield. You have to buy a shield, and you have to know where to buy a shield,
and
you
it
have
breaks.
to have enough money to buy a shield, and it breaks. I will allow it. Brennan, your answer.
I'm going to go with Monster Hunter World because currency is a lot. Like, you have to fight monsters to get upgrades and get new weapons and armor to go fight the next boss.
Are resources and currency the same thing?
Well, because you're spending them to upgrade and get new things. So it is a currency in that aspect.
I thought you were crafting using the resources you get from creatures.
No, I don't know what to tell you. I view it as currency because if you don't have it, then you can't progress.
Chris, do you want EJ to be cross-examining the the witness?
You're welcome to crosstalk all you like. I think Brennan articulated his case well, and I will allow it. Brennan, your second game.
I didn't have a second game yet. I was too busy thinking about the first one and why it would work.
That's the curse of the middle position in the snake draft. Is you're like, yes, I got one. Wait, no, fuck. TikTok, Mr. Powers.
Doubling back to futzing through menus, EJ, when you were talking about Secret of Mana, the thing that popped into my head immediately, and I was like, oh, well, I guess that probably wouldn't have had a Metacritic score anyway, so it's not a big deal. But Link's Awakening on Game Boy, having 2 face buttons for all of your different abilities. Oh my God. Replaying that on Switch when you actually have 4 face buttons and the triggers, like, that was a game changer.
Man, games were in a bad way in the 90s, bro.
It's just
Dark
a Game Boy
times.
with the two buttons, man. 2 buttons. And the Game Boy Advance still. They should have had 4 on that thing, at least.
Well, they did, but shoulders.
No, you know what I mean, though. Like 4 face buttons. Like, they needed more. The DS solved that, I guess. But anyway.
I don't want to use this one just because it's like, I mean, it's kind of the same reasons that I gave for Monster Hunter World, but in different aspects. Tunic. Tunic is a game where it is very, your character is very low on power, very barren, and you have to collect these items to give to altars to upgrade your weapons, your shields, your magic power. And without doing that, it is a very, very difficult game. And I think it's very important. You don't have to collect them, but it is very important.
To me, it seems like almost any game is really going to be the correct answer here. Like progression being gated to things you're spending is just such a game thing.
If you can make the case, then sure. I mean, there's a lot of answers to this that I would not accept, but so far I am satisfied. I'll allow it. Nick.
Super Mario 64. In each level, if you want to get all the stars, you have to get the 6 red coins. And a second star, you have to get 100 regular gold coins. If you get hurt, the way you heal yourself is by, you guessed it, picking up coins. This man loves money. He cannot live without it. Literally.
I'm not even going to lie to you. As soon as you said the title, I was like, there's no fucking way on earth I'm going to accept this answer. But your defense of it was so animated and interesting. And also I forgot about health points in a Mario game because Mario 64 is ass. I'm going to allow it. EJ, your second selection.
Grand Theft Auto 4. Money is the impetus for everything you do in that game. You are committing heists. You're taking jobs to earn money so that you can unlock other parts of the game, so you can upgrade your weapons and vehicles. It's all about the Benjamins, baby.
Is that the only way in which you progress through the game?
It is the most important way.
But what I'm saying is, are you unable to complete this game unless you achieve specific money-related milestones that bar your progression? Like, can I not go do mission 3 unless I have $700,000? Because right, you're just talking about like, yeah, you need money. Is you're a thief, so money. I don't know. Give me more information here.
We've made that case though with Dark Souls 2 that you don't have to level up.
You just shot that exact line of questioning down not 2 answers ago, Chris. I don't feel like on principle I should answer that.
Well, I think on principle, I'm the one who gets to decide if it goes or not. So you probably should. Tell me more. I'm asking for more information. Why does it matter a lot?
Yeah, the entire point of Grand Theft Auto is to do missions to make money, and the only way you progress and get better is by spending that money on things. Money is the entire point of Grand Theft Auto.
Money and bitches, right? But you got to have money to get bitches.
I only care about the money.
Well, you're a saint, EJ. And I will allow this answer.
I'm surprised you went with 4.
Someone already said 5 and 3 rated lower, so
I would have thought San Andreas would have been higher.
In first place with a 98, it is EJ with Grand Theft Auto 4.
wait,
Getting those
and
sweet-
98?
A 98 on Metacritic.
Wow.
Clearly, EJ didn't do his research to the degree that he thought he did, but sometimes a stopped clock is right. Twice a day, in fact. In second place with a 91, it is EJ again with Dark Souls 2. Nope, that's wrong. Wait, no, my color system's all fucked up. Hang on. No, that's Nick with the
Sure
second
about that?
place. Skyward Sword with a 93. That is Nick with second place. I confused myself. I wrote 3 points and I thought that meant third place. I'm just very unintelligent for someone who has 2 degrees. EJ coming in third.
What's the Metacritic for Mario 64 then?
It is an 85.
No way.
You sure about that? You sure about that? That's what?
Oh, no way.
Maybe DS.
Nick, we kept you honest last week. We got to be keeping Chris honest here.
Oh, that is the DS one.
Pretty sure that's like
why doesn't it
like
say
a 97 or 98?
the URL?
Because Metacritic is bad.
It's terrible. It's a 94. So I'm gonna have to retabulate this. But when I click on the first link is a Super Mario 64. The URL says Super Mario 64. It takes you to the DS page first. Yeah, Metacritic is terrible. All right, stand by.
I thought we learned a lesson last week. View all platforms. Let's do our homework here, people. Let's do our jobs.
EJ, I expect you to do better once you are the one driving the quiz.
Yeah, no doubt. What was my other answer? I don't even remember.
All right,
Dark Souls 2.
stand by.
The worst Dark Souls.
All right, I am retabbing.
I don't know if the score reflects that, but it is highly regarded as even worse than Demon Souls.
All right, first place, it's still EJ with 98 points, Grand Theft Auto 4. In second place with a 94, it is Nick with Super Mario 64. In third place, it is also Nick with a score of 93, The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. And in fourth place with a score of 91, just edging Bren out of any points, it's EJ with Dark Souls 2. Sorry, Bren.
If there's one thing I do well, it's edging Bren.
Is that out of deliberance or incompetence on your part, EJ?
I don't know. He likes it either way.
Give him the soft hands.
All right. I got to eat. How many more fucking rounds do we have? My God.
There is one more. Just a second.
Jeez Louise. I hope Sarah hasn't been waiting for me. She's like, you want to come over tonight for dinner? And I said, yeah, I'll come over tonight for dinner. Oof.
Come over tonight? You live together.
No, she's been house sitting and will be house sitting until next week.
That's
/ dog sitting.
Your wife house sits more than any one person should house sit in any given specific period of time.
Her coworker retired in May and is literally gone every other weekend. And Sarah de facto house / dog sits. This little shit rat of a dog. She gets paid as well as she gets paid at her job. It's absurd. This person retired and has a rich husband and they just travel now, I guess. So.
Well, I mean, that's not a bad gig then. The final category. Oh, no, wait, hang on. Let me give you your 10 seconds to try to guess the theme. Beginning in 3, 2, 1.
80s arcade games.
Ready Player One.
We're going to roll our fucking eyes when he tells us. It's not like Nick's like clearly spooky. You know, we should have had that. Zombies, but we suck.
I think it's obvious, but I will give you a breadcrumb after the last round if nobody has gotten it still.
Is this last round the one that's going to tear the podcast apart?
No, we already passed it, and it was one of the most amicable categories that we had.
That is amazing. Which one was it? What
Tiffany was sure that put another quarter in was going to make you absolutely lose your fucking mind, EJ. You specifically. Well, what does that mean? Does it have to be an arcade game? Does that mean are those going to have reviews? Do arcade games have reviews? That was absolutely sure how she thought
and
that round was going to go.
And I made the roguelike connection immediately and helped all of my friends behind me, all right?
Chris, before we start the final round, can we have a current score tally?
Absolutely.
Or is
bringing up the rear with 6 points, it's the man himself, Brandon Allen. In second place with a total of 21 points is EJ.
Holy shit.
Whoa. I've won like 4 out of 5 rounds here. What are we talking about?
Nick has double dipped almost every round, and he is currently leading with a score of 23 points. 2 points ahead.
Wait, what did I have?
21. It's close.
EJ, your
close,
third.
EJ,
your third round, not having a second game in the cooperator sabotage, hurt you quite a lot.
Yeah, I don't. I feel like we need to go back and check the work here and make sure that all these rounds are being scored properly. I'll do it when we listen back on the edit.
I could dock you points for questioning my integrity. That also is an option.
Oh, we live in a fucking goddamn dictatorship here.
You're goddamn right.
Yes.
The final round. Nick, you're leading us off, followed by Bren. EJ with the double whammy, Bren, and then Nick. Nick, please give me a game that makes you go for a high score.
Ooh.
Ooh, a high score. Interesting. Interesting. I'm going to go. Let me double check the banned list because I always have to, just in case.
It's a good policy.
I'm going to float out there Super Smash Brothers Melee.
Okay. Elaborate.
There are many game modes within Smash Brothers Melee, many of which have either a score component or a time component in which you are trying to complete these events. For example, you have Break the Targets with a timed component for each character in the entire roster, which is pretty extensive for the GameCube standards. And then we also have Home Run Contest, where you are trying to get the punching bag home run. Actually, what's the name? It's the big punching bag. You're trying to knock that as far as you can with each character. They all have different strategies based on their movesets, different ways you can kind of cheese it with certain attacks doing more damage and propelling the punching bag further than the home run bat itself. So you have characters like Roy and Ganondorf with just ridiculous B-charge moves or reverse warlock punches, and you're just sending this motherfucker flying, and it rules. And you're always chasing that high if you're me, and that's the only game mode that you play at a certain point. So that game is like totally score chase. Get that. Like, if I just sit here, I can tell you the button combination to reset in Home Run Contest because it was so ingrained in my mind. I knew when I fucked up a run and I had to start over. And just chasing after that time or that distance, super integral in that game.
Okay. Who did I say was next? Brennan, your first answer, please.
Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3.
Wow.
The epitome of that game.
Man just took it out of my mouth. Are you sure I wasn't second? I'm gonna have to listen back to the tape on this one.
I am sure.
Snatched out of the bung by Brennan Allen.
I wish you didn't say that. But
And the good one too. It's almost like he's looking at Metacritic right now.
Did that research before the podcast.
Yeah, many people are capable of doing successful research, EJ. Speaking of, your first answer, please.
EJ's thinking fervently, does Soul Calibur have points? NFL 2K1 had points.
I actually was thinking I'm trying to split the difference between a number of fighting games because they all do have scores. A lot of them do. I'm like, which Street Fighter scored the highest and which one is the newest one have scores? I don't know if Soul Calibur had scores despite it reviewing so well because I never played Soul Calibur. So I'm like, I can't make an argument for it.
Yeah, it's one thing to know the titles of games with good scores, but it's another to know what those games even are. EJ.
Forza Horizon 5.
And your justification?
Because you're accumulating score by racing more better. Nick. Come on.
What is the score in a racing game?
It's a meaningless pile of numbers, like scores in most games.
Better known as what?
It's a score. You get a score, and it means nothing.
I don't know if the nihilism is really selling it.
It's like, what does the score in Super Mario mean? Fine, don't count Forza. I'll give you a new game.
I didn't. Oh my God. Did I say I wasn't going to take Forza? I was literally just fishing for you to say, time is your high score in a fucking racing game.
But there's an actual score system in those racing games. Additionally.
Really, you played Forza Horizon 5 and you know it's got a score system? You can answer that right now definitively.
It has a score system, Chris.
I'm going to just to give myself one moment of being that guy, I am going to Google this to check.
I mean,
shoot it down.
It does. I've played it and I've seen many clips of it. I watch game clips a lot, so
Numbers happen.
yeah.
I would have just said, yeah, like your time or the rank you get is the score.
Obviously it qualifies. Your answer was so fucking flaccid. I was not gonna let you get by without.
This isn't fucking debate class.
At more of a justification. There's some points you get for racing good. I was like, all right, come on, you got to try a little bit harder. Like, obviously, I'm going to accept it though. Brennan, your second title.
I'm gonna go with Burnout 3.
Fuck, I was literally thinking that, dude.
Man, Burnout 3 fucks.
Yeah, dude. The crash mode. I always tried to see how much I could get.
Brennan, how come you're looking at your computer screen every time you give an answer?
Because it's my band screen, bitch.
Got him.
He just has a single
Lower,
screen for it.
lower.
I love that.
Lower.
Now take it off. No, wait, what? Huh?
That's so funny.
Oh no!
Nick, your second title, please.
Could I get a repeat of the phrasing of the question, please?
Give me a game that makes you go for a high score.
NBA Street Volume 2.
Nice.
You need the higher score to defeat your opponent.
EJ, you could take some delivery notes from Nick here. Simple answer, but given with conviction. Really goes a long way. All right. I will accept this answer and I will begin tabulating. And I'm taking a little extra time to make sure that it is correct this time.
Yeah, I'm not going to get fucked over by NBA Street Volume 2 on the DS. If that even got a DS port.
All right. In first place with a score of 97, Brennan with Tony Hawk 3. Bren, you're closing on a strong note. In second place with a score of 94, it is Brennan again with Burnout 3. Brennan sweeping
I didn't even know that was up there.
the top two categories. Burnout 3 is goated, man. It's goated. In third place, we have a tie. Both scoring 92, Forza Horizon 5 and Super Smash Bros. Melee. And in
Let's go.
fourth place with a score of 90, NBA Street Volume 2, Nick scoring the additional 1 point.
So beating the ghost time can't beat Nick now, correct? Because I know I beat the ghost time.
I don't know. I got to add up some points.
Ghosts. EJ, there's
Ghosts,
multiple
plural.
ghosts.
Yeah. So
We are haunted by these staff members. The faculty surrounds us with their spectral presence.
Okay. I am going to open up the all is not lost, EJ. I'm going to open up the 10-second window for y'all to try to guess the theme. If no one can guess it at that point, I will read 6 key words that will hopefully frame your ability to successfully guess the theme for this week. The 10-second window opens in 3, 2, 1, go.
Donkey Kong and arcade. I'm trying to think of like what, because it's clearly arcade based, but what's the underdog aspect? Like that is the key signifier that is not really touched upon in the other categories. Currencies, quarters.
This is way less shouting answers and way more y'all bogarting airtime in a very small window. So I'm going to pause this here. I'm
Yeah.
going to read you.
Multiple people can shout.
I'm going to read you 6 keywords from these questions. And then I'm going to count down 3, 2, 1, go. And I will open a final window and give you an opportunity to guess what you think the theme for this week was. Do not start shouting until I give you the go. Underdog. Quarter. Cooperate, sabotage. Menu. Currency. High score. The window opens now.
Damian Lillard being traded to the Milwaukee Bucks. Yeah, I already have all these written down, Chris. I didn't help me any more than I had going into that.
No one has any additional guesses? I'm not gonna belabor the point. High score, currency, menus, cooperating or sabotaging a player, quarter, and underdog. The theme for the week is Fantasy Critic.
Yeah, big stretch.
High scores, currency, menus, cooperation and sabotage, quarter because it is our quarterly update.
He thinks he's cute.
So for these Metacritic scores, we go. I'm confused. So Vampire Survivors has a 95 on Xbox Series S. So that is the best Metacritic score for Vampire Survivors.
Ooh, who won that round?
Not me.
The litigation keeps going.
Does this bump Nick? Might I have a chance here? View all platforms. It has a 91 on iOS, a 95 on Xbox. Yep. Give us your spreadsheet. Now we're going to have to go cross-reference all these goddamn scores ourselves.
EJ, you won that round, so it's not going to help you.
Yeah, but I won with like a 99 or something that round, so I'm not worried about it. But if it bumps Nick down, that's great. No, that was the 2K, so that was like a 98 or 97, I think.
Because Nick had Overwatch at 91.
Oh, yeah. Bren, baby, coming in clutch.
Let's see. Retabbing this round.
I'm going to need you to show your work.
Oh, I will. That's going to change Bren's score in that round from a 1 to a 4. It is going to change EJ's score in that round.
What was the original?
It's gonna change your score from a 0 to a 4. EJ.
Would that be a 3 because EJ had a 97 for 2K?
Yeah. EJ, you bumped one of your own selections. That bumps Dead Cells out of receiving any points. So you go from a 5 to a 4. Bren goes to a 3. Nick goes to a 3. No, Nick goes 4 because he still has Overwatch. Nope, that's 3. He got 3rd and 4th place with a 93 and a 91. So that takes 2 points off of Nick's total. That leaves us at EJ, a final tally with corrections for Vampire Survivor. Bren, you finished with 16 points. EJ, you finished with 22. And Nick still edges you out, finishing with a total of 24.
Ghost time. Talk to me. I need to see this spreadsheet. This is some shady business. I don't like this.
I've got it. You can not like it all you want, buddy, but I've got the receipt.
He's going to be running the math after the fact.
When I edit this podcast, we'll get an insert clip with Miss Robot Voice getting the true final tallies.
In true Chris fashion, several additional game totals were errantly recorded, and thus the final score is incorrect. Dead Cells, Starfield, Tunic, and Metal Gear Solid 3 all had higher scores on Metacritic than previously suggested. This is collusion at the highest levels.
The Staff Ghost score to beat was 513 cumulative points, and all of you exceeded it, which makes it a wash as far as any additional point totals go.
Who had the most?
What do you mean?
Yeah, we all beat the Ghost time, but who did the best among us?
It doesn't matter. This wasn't it wasn't a who gets the highest cumulative score from your top score from each of the rounds. It was, can you exceed the score or not? Everybody gets points if they exceed it.
All right.
There's no single prize for beating it. If there was a tie, my tiebreaker question would have been for you to guess the Staff Ghost time. We would have done Price is Right rules on that. But there was not a tie. And yes, one of the Staff Ghosts was Nate. The other one was Tiffany. Big fucking surprise. Some of the answers that they chose, I'm surprised that these games didn't come up. An Underdog Story, Tiffany's answer was Banjo-Kazooie. And Nate's answer was Punch-Out on the Nintendo Wii. Put another quarter in. Tiffany selected Space Invaders, which was a big fucking mistake because it's got a terrible score. And Nate's was Time Crisis 2. Cooperator Sabotage, Tiffany's was Mario Kart 64. And Nate's was Four Swords Adventure on the GameCube.
I did consider that.
Futzing through menus, Tiffany chose Pokemon Snap, and Nate selected Fire Emblem Engage. I'm surprised, EJ, you did not choose a Fire Emblem game for your futzing through menus, considering that is an entirely menu-based game of choosing commands and then watching those commands be executed.
Because I got a 97 for Breath of the Wild, so it didn't matter.
That is true, but you could have also taken second place if you had chosen a better game than Secret of Mana, which would have beaten Nick if you had done such a thing. Currency matters a lot. Tiffany chose Animal Crossing New Horizons, which would have beaten almost all of your scores. And Nate chose World of Warcraft, which also would have beaten almost all of your scores. And go for a high score. Tiffany chose Beat Saber, and Nate chose Star Fox 64. So just some interesting looks into the other ways that other people thought about this category that I thought made perfect sense to me. I tried to make these as broad as possible in terms of possibly acceptable answers. And I think I only bounced 2 of your games. So I will hear no accusations of impropriety here. Thank you very much.
We'll let EJ drive the next one and see how he likes coming up with good open-ended categories. Plus, I want to compete against Chris, so I need more people to host.
I don't know why you want to compete against me, seeing as EJ kicked my ass last time.
This has been the Colossal Waste of Time podcast. See you next week, maybe.
The hungry, hangry EJ grumping through the back half.
Coming down.